Have you experienced the awesome power of the Panasonic Real 3DO system? Obviously.
Presenting 3DO, the most advanced home gaming system in the universe. It's time to put away your toys.
3DO from Panasonic, Gold Star, and Creative Labs. A new low price and free games.
Mind-blowing graphics of Panasonic Real 3DO.
3DO.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the 3DO Experience, the 3DO retrospective podcast where we talk about all things 3DO, the console, the company, and everything in between. I am Bill, and this is Threk. How you doing, Threk?
Oh, Bill, I am feeling holly and jolly. How are you?
I've been better, but that's life. I'm about to go on vacation for the rest of the year, so can't complain there.
Me too.
It's gonna be nice.
It'll be nice. It'll be crazy to be like holy shit, I get like this whole time between Christmas and New Year's just off. Like it's the first time I've ever had that. So it'll be a nice change of pace for me. So that's all cool.
Yeah, that's my usual like go-to. I've done pretty much since I started working full time, and I've had actual vacation to use. I pretty much made it my thing where I just like to take a Christmas week off. The way it lined up this year kind of sucked because Christmas is on like a Wednesday, and because of that, we only really get either the day or before or after. So we only get Christmas. We get Christmas Eve off on the Tuesday, but because of that, the Monday and the way the rest of the week lines up, it just kind of was like one of those things where it's like, this sucks.
Yeah. So, because I used to work like retail, and where I was, you were not allowed to take Christmas week off or even the week after. Like they blocked those off for like PTO basically because all hands were on deck at that point because of how busy things got. So
Yeah,
it's a different yeah, exactly. So it's a change of pace for me, but a nice change of pace. Means I get to kind of chill at the end of the year and play some video games, right?
Yeah, it's a nice peaceful time of the year when you're not in retail stores, I guess. Boy.
I don't really step in them anymore, so unless I have to.
I did a little shopping this weekend because I had some friends over. Shout out to my buddy Matt from Geek Addicts. Yeah, and we went out, did some shopping. I bought them some Christmas presents, but it wasn't as bad as I was expecting. But there was still some crazies out there.
Oh, there always are crazies. So
yeah,
I've done probably about 99% of my holiday shopping. I think there's like a couple more things I need to get, but light things, and then I'm good. And then hopefully I'll get everything wrapped in the next day or two, and then that'll be that, which is usually what I do. I wait way too long to actually get the shit, and then like it's a couple days prior, and then I'm just wrapping it and throwing it under the tree. It's usually how I work.
I usually order everything way in advance and then wait for it all to like show up like the week before, and then have to go get bags and everything because I like the bag stuff. It's easier, and then they can reuse the bag.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I try my best to wrap, but I'm not very good at it.
We've kind of like to trade bags now. Like a lot of the bags I get, like I'll give them. I'll end up getting bags back, so we just kind of keep trading them infinitely. It's very convenient.
If it works, it works, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's been getting towards that time of year though. I can't imagine what the 24th is going to be like.
Yeah, I can't imagine either, but I'll be Christmas Eve is usually when my family does all of its, like all the extended family gets together and does its festivities. So Christmas Day is usually pretty chill for us. Like we'll do some stuff in the morning, and then that's basically it. Then I retreat into here, into my den, put on the Charlie Brown Christmas album. I always play it once a year around this time, and then usually I play like a golf game. I don't know why.
Nice.
That's been like my Christmas tradition for the last few years. I'll just boot up a random golf game, listen to the Charlie Brown Christmas album, and then that's Christmas, man.
Yeah, I like me and Alex always have to head down Christmas morning. We'll probably get up like super early and then just make the 2-hour drive up to our parents' house. Spend the day there and then probably head home by the end of the day. It's always nice.
Sounds good, man.
Oh, but yeah, moving on to some more recent topics. A lot happened in the last week or so.
Yeah, a whole award show happened.
Yeah. Sure. I like to call it the Astrobot Awards.
Apparently, some people have been mad about it.
Yeah, I mean,
well, famously, the Black Myth Wukong devs were pissed. Like, from what I've read, like the studio director or whatever wrote his acceptance speech 2 years in advance, and then apparently was crying in the audience when they lost, and then went to like, I guess like Chinese Twitter or whatever, and just made a whole rant about it. And like, you talk about the definition of a sore loser.
Yeah, that's
when it's like they won a couple awards. So it's like, what the fuck are you complaining about?
See,
like,
I would understand being upset, but like when you're so pompous and like that, like you believe you're gonna win so hard that you write your speech in advance. I'm just like sitting there going like, yeah, okay, I don't really feel bad. Sorry.
And it's like, I don't even get the hype around the game at all. I mean, I haven't played it, but like when it first popped up and everyone was hyping it to the hill, I'm like, but what is this? Why do people care?
It's like a Souls-like, and I'm like,
there's a million of them. Like, I mean, apparently there's a lot of like Chinese mythology in there, which is cool because not a lot of games have that, you know. But outside of that, it's like, I don't fucking know. Like, isn't there a whole JRPG series that's centered around Chinese mythology that nobody gives a shit about? It's the Sword and Fairy series.
Yeah.
So like, I don't know. I don't get it, but we're not here to argue about that. I haven't played Astrobot. I think I've said what I've said about Astrobot before. Like, I'll play it eventually, and I'm just worried about Sony learning the wrong lessons from Astrobot. But hey, maybe they'll learn the right lessons and just do more of like that kind of stuff. You know, that'd be cool.
Just as long as they just make fun games, that's all I really want. But we'll have to wait and see on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had watched the Game Awards in a group chat like the night of, and we spent a lot of it just making fun of the Game Awards, as far as I remember.
Yeah, like we missed a bunch of stuff. We missed when the Baldur's Gate 3 guy went up to present Game of the Year, and he kind of like took some jabs at the whole thing. And also, though, we did like was it Statler and Waldorf from the Muppets, like throwing shade at Jeff? Like that was funny.
That was fun. I like that Jeff at least has a sense of humor. Like,
yeah. And then, you know, if for some reason it brought like questions up about Jeff Keighley's character or whatever, and I like it feels like he was using those criticisms, like turning them into jokes as a way of deflecting when it's like they're legitimate criticisms. You know what I mean? Which again, could be people reading into it too much, but it's like, I don't think Keighley is like, I don't think he's like a grifter or anything. I think he's been in the games industry forever, you know, like he's like,
I don't think
he was writing game reviews in the 90s, you know what I mean? So like, he's always been there, and I think he genuinely cares about it. It's just, I feel like he's a little bit delusional, but I feel like you kind of have to be if you're the guy who's like, hey, I'm going to make a video game award show. We're going to call it the Game Awards, and it's going to be the award show for the video game industry. And it's all, and its legitimacy is that I'm hosting it. Like, that's delusional, right? But somebody has to fucking do it, right? So, you know, and it seems to work because we all show up and watch it and care a little bit, even if we all bitch about it.
Yeah.
You know, we all show up. So it's working.
I just always find it amusing that most of my takeaways are like, this is funny. Like, I always just laugh about it, and then
though I will say, I think overall this show is better than last year's. And I think it was, as far as like game announcements go, it was one of the better ones. Because I think that's what most of us show up for, is like, oh, what new games are going to be shown, and like I have my list here, and it's like, honestly, like pretty fucking solid, you know?
Yeah, none. There wasn't any point where I like rolled my eyes at the new games announced. I think
there's a couple we didn't care about, but there always are when they're like, look at this like live service thing. I'm like, I don't give a like a Frag Punk trailer. Like, I don't give two shits about Frag Punk
or whatever that new hero shooter was or whatever.
There's always one of them. Who cares?
It was kind of like one of those things. Like, I think like the only like snoozing points of that event where like there was that one developer who like the whole like that weird like thing where they were like we're talking about like people who had no jobs, and I was like I have no idea what's happening right now.
So apparently that guy, he essentially was like, he had saw all the layoffs that were going on in the industry and was like, hey, I want to like create like a support system for these like video game devs who got fired to like help them like through unemployment and to find a new job. A noble task, right? Like I think I said in the group chat, like he made the Robert Half of game developers basically, which, you know, is a good thing. It is a good thing. It's just the way the whole thing was like presented.
Yeah, that presentation was
over,
weird.
and it felt like schlocky and overly sentimental when it's like he's doing a good thing, but it's just, I think it's just how Keighley is. You know,
well, it's funny because we had joked before the show, like what side scroller is going to be mad at this time, and sure enough, I saw the thumbnail the next morning, and it was that guy's face, and it said he's a fraud, and I'm like, oh boy, here we go.
They're mad at him.
Yeah, that was the thing they targeted.
Why were they mad at him?
I don't know. I didn't watch it. I just saw the thumbnail. And was
like, I mean, there was a sort of woke controversy, which we'll get to. I'm using quotes, by the way, audio listeners.
Or is it the
see the good thing is being on Blue Sky, I don't see this shit that much anymore. So when it like actually kind of breaks through, I find it hilarious because I don't really see it anymore, which is great. Like people have said, like, "Oh, Blue Sky is just like an echo chamber," and it's like, well,
all social media is an echo chamber,
and we all create echo chambers anyways. And honestly, it's better for my mental health. Like, what am I gonna do? Sit on Twitter and just constantly get mad at all these dumbass people sitting on there? Like, Blue Sky doesn't have as many dumbasses, so
no, it just has some people that like I feel like need to just take a break and go outside for a bit.
Yeah, exactly. So, but let's rattle through, or at least here are the announcements that I thought were cool. There's a decent amount of them. We'll try to rattle them off pretty quickly because I do want to talk about the game this week. So, so the first one was Ninja Gaiden Ragebound. I didn't write down the devs for any of these, but this is
that was .emu, I believe.
Yeah, .emu is making it. And it's basically a 2D, like it looks kind of like hand-drawn Ninja Gaiden game, because there have been reports of like Koei Tecmo making a new Ninja Gaiden game, and I think people were assuming it would just be like a 3D kind of like a kind of a follow-up almost to the reboot trilogy. But you know, it's been like quite a while since Razor's Edge came out, so people were like, what's it going to be? We're not sure. And it's like, oh, they're doing like a 2D one. I guess we hadn't considered that. It looks really cool.
Yeah, it looks pretty. Like, I love the graphics.
Yeah, I have a feeling it's going to be a Metroidvania, which is perfectly fine. Because a lot of 2D games tend to do. I mean, the Strider reboot was a Metroidvania, and that was a pretty fucking good game. So yeah, this one looks great. I'm excited about it. I'm sure you are too.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to check it out. Don't know if I'll get it day one, but
yeah. If that's like if it hits Game Pass day one, I'll be there for sure. Next up was probably the most curious one to me, just because it's quite a turn for this series, but I'm kind of here for it. It's a Shadow Labyrinth. If you remember this one, this is like that weird, edgy, dark Pac-Man thing.
Yeah, that was so weird.
You're like the dude who crashes on the ship, and then there's like a little floating Pac-Man. It's like Nier or something when you have that little robot floating right by you, right? And it's like, but it's Pac-Man. And it, like, I described it as, it feels like this is like trying to be the Bomberman Act Zero of Pac-Man, where they're taking in this weird, edgy, dark direction. But in this case, I'm kind of fucking down for it. I don't know about you.
It looked, the funny part about that was I remember us all being like, what is this? And then we saw the thing, we're like, is that Pac-Man? Maybe. And then we saw like the fucking like actual Pac-Man shoot. We're like, oh yeah, it's Pac-Man. All right.
Yeah. I like that Bandai Namco has enough comfort in the Pac-Man IP to want to do something this outlandish, you know, because it's Pac-Man, right? Pac-Man will be fine. But I'm like genuinely curious to this game. I'm probably going to play it when it comes out. I think it's a next year kind of thing. So yeah, I might look into this one. I'm fascinated by it because like even if it doesn't review well and people don't like it, I'm still gonna play it. You know,
Oh, yeah.
it's one of those type of deals where I'm like, I kind of just need to see what this one is about. So that'll be a cool one to see. Next one is Witcher 4, which was rumored before this that we would see the full grand debut trailer of The Witcher 4, where Ciri is now the main character. It was a pretty long cinematic trailer, but looks gorgeous. It looks incredible.
It did. I'm pretty sure I took a pee break in the middle of it and it was still going by the time I got back.
Yeah, it was like a 4-minute trailer or something. Yeah, but it looks really cool. It reminded me I need to sit down and actually finish Witcher 3 because I put, I think, like over 20 hours into it and just kind of stopped playing it for whatever reason. It's a great game, though. And yeah, Witcher 4 looks really cool. I believe I don't think they put a release date on that.
No, and thank God,
which is fine.
We don't need the hype train building.
Yeah, I mean, I imagine CD Projekt Red, they're going to be a lot smarter about Witcher 4's rollout compared to Cyberpunk. I think they've learned their lesson.
I think they have. They've finally made Cyberpunk a decent game.
Oh, Cyberpunk's pretty good. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But also there's the Witcher 1 remake, which they had said they were going to do, and I don't think we've seen anything from it directly, but like I'm waiting for that. I'd like to see I'd like to play the Witcher 1 remake before Witcher 4. I think we'll probably get it because I won't be surprised if they take, say, the Witcher 3 engine, put the Witcher 1 story and like and all that in there, and maybe kind of beef up the graphics a little bit. So Witcher 1 could be like a late next year, early 26 maybe type of deal, and then Witcher 4 is maybe a couple years later. So, but we'll see. And this was like the other woke. This is like the woke thing because people were complaining about Ciri's face model because, of course, they were, because they're fucking weird. Because they're saying she was hotter when she was a teenager in Witcher 3, which is, you know, read into that what you will, people.
See, that's not the woke thing I saw. Woke thing. I saw the Naughty Dog one because that one was apparently a thing.
Yeah, that one as well. We'll get to that. But Witcher 4 I saw, and it was like, guys, you calm down. Like I mentioned Nier. Like if you want that kind of shit, just play Nier. Play Stellar Blade, okay?
Play any anime game.
Like seriously, it's fucking ridiculous. And it's like, it's The Witcher. Who fucking cares? There's hot chicks in The Witcher everywhere, okay? Have you seen Yennefer? Right? Like who cares? But Witcher 4 looks cool. Hopefully I can actually finish Witcher 3 because I would like to finish it because I really enjoyed my time with it. It's just a big game, you know.
Yeah.
Next is Project Robot, which is the main guy behind Eco, Shadow of the Colossus, and Last Guardian. What's his name?
I'd have to look it up. But
yeah, but it's that guy that everybody loves. Somebody's probably mad at me that I'm not saying that I don't know his name. Sorry, guys. But yeah, it's basically wasn't it like did Team Eco? I assume it's Eco. Did they dissolve after Last Guardian?
No, they didn't even make Last Guardian. So what happened was they dissolved sometime after Shadow of Colossus, during the point where they were working. So they were working on the Last Guardian that went into development hell, and it kind of just disappeared. And then what ended up happening was I'm trying to remember his name. He had formed a different studio and they finished Last Guardian.
But that's not the same team that's making this Project Robot.
I don't believe so, because I don't believe he works for Fumito Udia. Udia,
yeah, there we go. Yeah, because Last Guardian says it was done by Japan Studio, and then a company called Gen Design, which that I think Gen Design is doing Project Robot.
Yeah, that's his current company.
Correct.
Yep, they're doing Project Robot.
Yeah. So, but that's cool. That's cool to see. I mean, it looks pretty interesting. It has a Shadow of the Colossus vibe, but more sci-fi, which I think is a cool turn for him. And it's going to be it's multi-plat, so it's coming to everything.
You know what's really funny? I just learned. Did you know he was Udia was actually one of the animators for D, of all things.
This all comes back around, doesn't it?
That's funny.
Honestly, when I think about Eco or Shadow of the Colossus, the little bit I've played of both, I can kind of see a Kenji Eno influence. I can kind of see it. But I think those games are much, much stronger than that. Because I think I've played like maybe half an hour of Eco. I didn't get super far in it. It was like a seeing if the emulator worked type of thing, you know. And then I've played Shadow of the Colossus kind of here and there. I used to not really like it, but I've really grown to it. Like they're definitely games I should sit down and play through the whole way. I'd probably like both of them.
They're both those kind of games that are like more experiences than games, I'd say.
Yeah, and I like a lot of those type of things, and even Last Guardian, which I know isn't as revered as the other two, but it has its fans. Like I don't think people say it's a bad game.
It's a great game. It's just kind of jank because of how it got developed, but
yeah. So, but Project Robot looks really cool. Yeah, seeing that more sci-fi type of design, and it's being published by Epic, and it's coming out on everything. So, so I'll probably check that out on you guys know where. And then speaking of Xbox, we got our, I guess, first look at Outer Worlds 2. I didn't expect Outer Worlds 2 to be here because Obsidian, they're probably still working on making sure Avowed is good to go for February. And I know they were working on Outer Worlds 2. I just didn't expect a whole trailer for it. But it looks cool. Again, I've put a couple hours into Outer Worlds 1. It's a fun game, you know. I don't know if that Fallout style game is really for me, but I need more time with it to know for sure. But Outer Worlds 2 looks cool. And that's coming out next year as well. Man, Obsidian, they're cranking them out, man. Which is awesome.
Like they got steady funding now. It's like it's crazy what they can do with that.
Yeah, because they're working on Avowed, Outer Worlds 2, and apparently they have another, like, I think it's like a new IP in the works as well. I wouldn't be surprised if they're working on a sequel to Pentiment as well. So
it's like really funny when you think about it. Obsidian, Atlas, two of the most infamously underfunded studios that were struggling to get by but making great games. Now that they're fully funded, it's like, wow, look at them crank that shit out.
Yeah, like it improved them. It didn't hurt them at all. I mean, we'll see, like, you know, how people viewed Avowed and all this stuff when it comes out, but you know, I'm sure Avowed will be fine though. So, because they have Avowed, Outer Worlds 2, and then from what I remember hearing, they have a third game in the works as well. And who knows, they might be helping Bethesda trying to get another Fallout game out as soon as possible.
I know it'll never happen, but like, God, because Sega technically owns it, but goddamn, I wish they would make another Alpha Protocol, or at least like fix Alpha Protocol and make it a great game it should be. That
would be neat to see. Obsidian and Sega being like, let's do Alpha Protocol 2. I'm sure Microsoft wouldn't care. No, but speaking of Sega, Sega probably had two of my favorite announcements this entire show. With Virtua Fighter. It's back, baby, and it looks fucking awesome. It's not called Virtua Fighter 6, but it's most likely Virtua Fighter 6. And it looks fucking cool. Like, that was Akira, like with the hat and everything, like kind of Shroud in Darkness. Ryuga Gotoku is making it, the Yakuza team, which I had a feeling they would be the ones doing it, considering their sort of status as a developer right now. And they've put Virtua Fighter in just about like every Yakuza game, I think, has like a Virtua Fighter in it.
I wonder if they're going to just stick the AM2 logo on it somewhere just to be like,
I think they did.
That would make sense, because AM2 technically still exists, but they're not really the same studio they used to be.
Well, because after this, they had that whole Virtua Fighter Direct. I don't know if you watched that. I skimmed through it, and the AM2 logo showed up, and they talked about, like, they were sort of doing revisions for Virtua Fighter 5, like the version that's coming out on Steam. They're even adding that stuff to the PlayStation 4 version, which is really cool. I was hoping they'd just be like, oh, we're going to throw this into Xbox as well. There is a version of Virtua Fighter 5 on there, so if you want to play it. And I remember watching this thinking, man, a Virtua Fighter collection would be kind of dope. They just gave us like one through 4, or even say 1 through 5 on like a big thing. I'd fucking pay for that. It was kind of like a nothing kind of a direct, just them basically being like, oh, we love Virtua Fighter. We're doing shit with it. We swear. Like, this is cool.
Was it like Sony's like 30th anniversary Ape Escape director? They're like, we love Ape Escape. Are we going to make a game? No, but
at least they're making a game with Virtua Fighter. and then the best part of the entire Virtua Fighter Direct was near the end. One of like, it was like some like Saudi dude showed up and just was like talking about how much he likes Virtua Fighter, and it was so weird.
That's funny.
It was weird. Like, hold on, let me get his name because I need to call this guy out because it was basically like because I know like there's like Saudi money in Sega and like a lot of these like Nintendo and all these other companies.
There's Saudi money in a lot of companies.
Exactly. But it was just so weird to see like one of them just show up in this. Like, yeah, it's the chairman of the Saudi Esports Federation, Prince Faisal bin. I honestly cannot say his name, but yeah, the chairman of the Saudi Esports Federation. You can probably find his name if you look it up. It was just so weird seeing him just show up, and it's like, what the fuck? Like, why are they doing this?
He just really likes Virtual Fighter, I guess.
I guess. I mean, and then they had a dude from Evo show up and basically be like, "Oh, Virtual Fighter's gonna be a part of Evo," and it's like, well, that's cool.
It should be. I mean, it's like the granddaddy of the 3D fighter.
Yeah, so it's crazy. It's crazy to think like fighting games, the renaissance they've been having with Street Fighter, Tekken, Mortal Kombat. Like you're having Marvel vs. Capcom come back and like all this other stuff, and then Sega's just like, yeah, Virtua Fighter, we're bringing it back. So all we need is Soul Calibur, and I will die happy.
And give us an SNK fighter in there just for good measure.
I'm surprised
King of Fighters.
Did they announce a Capcom versus SNK collection?
I believe they did recently.
Yeah, because that's a good one to do. I don't know if they'll do any more beyond that. I mean, they should bring Tatsunoko versus Capcom out as well. Like, drag that out of the Wii purgatory. Why not?
Yeah, it's got to be a licensing thing.
I feel like Tatsunoko wouldn't care though. But
yeah,
anyway,
you have to see.
So yeah, Virtua Fighter 6. I'm hype as fuck for that. Whenever it comes out, that'll probably be a by day one kind of game for me. And then next was a new IP from good old RGG, Project Century. And the best way I can describe this is the Yakuza team discovered in 2024 a game called Sleeping Dogs, and looked at that game and said, "Wait a minute."
I remember this. The whole time we were like,
do something like that. We should do that. It has a sleep. Nobody else has made this connection as far as I know, but just the main guy and the whole setting of it, it just reminded me of Sleeping Dogs. You know, it's probably very much its own thing. I don't even think it'll be connected to the Yakuza IP. It doesn't really need to, but it looks fucking cool as shit. And the main guy looks like the dude who's playing Kiryu in the Yakuza show.
Oh, that's cool.
It does. People are like, is that the same guy? It might be the same guy. But yeah, it looks cool. I'm going to be fascinated with what that is, what that ends up being. So we'll find out one day in the future.
RGG is like one of the best developers out there right now. So
yeah, exactly. They're killing it. So yeah, so we got those two Sega announcements, and then also a new Sonic racing game, Sonic Racing Cross Worlds, which had like Shadow driving a car for like 10 seconds. Looks more like a follow-up to Team Sonic Racing. But hopefully it's closer to like Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transformed level of quality.
As long as Sumo's making it, it's probably going to be fine.
They didn't say who was making it, but I have a feeling it's Sumo. Next up is a game that I jokingly said looks like shit, but like in a good way. Turok Origins.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like Saber was like, we'll make a Turok game. Fuck it, right?
Just do something with it.
It definitely looks like a game somebody said, wouldn't it be funny? And when I say it looks like shit, I mean that in like a nice way. You know what I mean? Like it definitely doesn't have the biggest budget behind it, but who cares, right? It's Turok. And they're doing third-person shooter instead of first-person shooter, which I think is a interesting choice. I mean, it definitely looks better than that like reboot Turok from like the 360 days.
Oh, Disney Turok.
Yeah. That game
Turok.
That game's rough around the edges.
I mean, to be fair, every Turok game's kind of rough around the edges.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Sorry, Dave.
I don't have a deep history with Turok. The most Turok I ever played was Turok 2 on the Game Boy. So
yeah, if you're gonna play Turok, get the Night Dive Studio remasters because that's just the way to play it now.
I think I did have that of the original Turok, and I played it on my Switch. And I remember thinking, like, this is a cute game. It's cute.
You're game. Like, this is like the FPS that tried to do something different from Doom, and it shows.
Yeah, yeah. It's in that weird middle period between Doom and Quake. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think it does a couple things better than Quake, but Quake's the better experience overall. But we're not here to compare that. So yeah, Turok Origins. I can't remember if they dated that for next year or not, but it probably is a next year thing. And who knows? That might be a fun. That looks like a fun 7. Nothing wrong with that. Let's see what else was there. Just looking. Oh yeah, Mafia: The Old Country.
It looked cool.
Yeah. It's the 4th game in the Mafia series. It's a prequel to 1, which I think is kind of an interesting choice because Mafia 3 takes place in the 60s. So this is going even before Mafia 1, which took place, I believe, in the 20s. And I'm thinking if this one is closer to, say, Mafia Definitive Edition with like its gameplay loop and how it handles the story and combat and everything, it'll be a really good game. I am curious to how this one goes. I like the Mafia games. Like Mafia 1, I think, is fantastic, especially that remake. I'm not the biggest fan of Mafia 2, but it is a very acclaimed game. And then Mafia 3 is a good game, but it has some... It's too long. You know, there's like... It's too repetitive. But it's still a pretty cool game. And Mafia 3, I think, is a game more people should play, especially for its messaging. But that's another thing. But yeah, it's cool to see a new Mafia game coming out. I believe that's at summer next year. I will be looking forward to that one for sure. And then let's see. Do you want to talk about the Capcom stuff or Naughty Dog?
Let's talk about Naughty Dog, just because I'm both excited that it looks like they're trying something new, but I'm also I'm happy that it looks like they're moving away from realism finally and doing something actually interesting for once.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, like, people really need to get over the fact that not every female character has to be fucking an anime character.
So Naughty Dog unveiled their new IP, and it has, I don't like the name of it, Intergalactic the Heretic Prophet.
That's just too many words.
They could have just called it the Heretic Prophet. Like, you don't have to add the intergalactic to it. Just makes me think of the Beastie Boys song. And yeah, it's their first new IP since what, Uncharted?
Well,
probably Last of Us. Yeah, so it's been over 10 years. And yeah, it's basically you're some lady who's like a bounty hunter, and you like go to planets in your Pontiac spaceship, listening to like your Sony Discman. Like, it's doing that retro futuristic Guardians of the Galaxy type thing to it. And I guess I'm like one of the few people in the world who were not hyped by this at all. To me, it felt a little bit flat. Maybe it's just because that retro futuristic Guardians thing, like, it's been done. And it's like like the novelty of that has worn off. Like, I like that it's Naughty Dog doing something pretty different. I mean, I don't know, it's just maybe me now, but when I see a character with like a big sword and then they land on like a planet and there's a big monster in front of them, my first thought is, oh fuck, Souls-like combat, here we go. I don't think Naughty Dog would do that. I don't think that's in their wheelhouse. So maybe I'm just overreacting, and you know, it might be a cool game. You know,
yeah, I'm gonna wait for the trailer.
I just have a bad feeling this game may not do that well. I don't know. I feel like it may fall a little bit flat.
I'm just wondering if like The Last of Us 2 damaged Naughty Dog as a brand a little bit.
Maybe. I mean, Last of Us 2, like, some people fucking love that game.
They do, but it's also like one of the most divisive games of all time.
Yeah. And it's not even necessarily Last of Us 2 ruining this new one for me, because it feels like a completely different thing. It's just, I don't know. Maybe it's just like, oh, it's like it's Neil Druckmann at the helm, and I'm like, I don't know how I feel about Druckmann. Genuinely, I really don't.
Yeah, to me, Neil Druckmann's my biggest issue with Neil Druckmann is I think he really needed Bruce Straley to bounce off of.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? We'll see. We'll see what this one ends up doing. The soundtrack's going to be done by Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross, so it'll be a cool as fuck soundtrack. That
interested me a little bit.
Yeah, so. like it's definitely an interesting concept. It's an interesting idea. Yeah, people freaked out because the main character is a bald Asian lady with a sword. I'm like, who fucking gives a shit?
Or
Like,
like
I'm just getting so tired of this shit. Like,
people are just bored on Twitter, I swear.
yeah, like just play video games instead of bitching about them online. Just fucking play them, okay? But yeah, like whatever. As I said, I don't know. Something about this game, I just have a bad feeling it may not go over well when we finally get there. But I could be wrong, and it's a very good game. Who knows? But yeah, we'll keep an eye on that one. And then I guess lastly, we'll save Capcom. Speaking of a developer doing incredibly well, fucking Capcom, man. They've revived not one but two old IPs, announcing both of them at the Game Awards, which in the moment it didn't really hit, I guess. But like thinking about it afterwards, I'm like, oh shit. Like this is a big deal. So the first one is Onimusha, Way of the Sword. They're bringing back Onimusha when the last game was on the PS2?
Warlords, yeah. No. Onimusha Shadow of Destiny or something.
Yeah, the one with like Jean whoever, like the French dude.
Yeah, the weird multiplayer one.
Yeah. Like I remember as a kid seeing it was the cover art for Onimusha 3, and that looked like really fucking cool to me. I don't think I played it though. I can't remember if I played it or not. But like I tried playing Onimusha Warlords the remaster a couple years ago on the Switch, and I kind of hated it. I got some flack from people in Discord saying I don't like Onimusha because like that Resident Evil tank control stuff for a samurai action game, yeah. I didn't care for it.
Thankfully, they dropped that by 3, I want to say. Maybe 2. I can't remember which one, but...
Oh, that's good. Maybe those are better. They should have remastered those as well. I'm surprised they didn't do
why didn't they do a trilogy?
And, yeah, I would have played them.
If you can fit all 3 goddamn fucking Devil May Cries on a disc, you can fit all 3 Onimushas.
Yeah. So, but yeah, looking at the series, yeah, there was 1 in 2001, 2 in 2002. Then there was the Tactics on GBA, which I think I have a copy of that. Blade Warriors, which is like the fighting game.
Oh yeah, the fighting game.
Yeah, then there was 3 with Jacques Blanc, like the French dude. Oh yeah, he was played by Jean Reno. Yeah, that's pretty cool. And then there's that Dawn of Dreams.
Dawn of Dreams, that's what it was.
And then the Warlords Remaster. There was a game called Onimusha Soul, which doesn't even have a Wikipedia page. And then there's some VR game this year. I didn't even know they made a VR game this year. But yeah, Way of the Sword looks like a proper, I guess, Onimusha 4, I guess. Unless Dawn of Dreams counts as 4. I don't.
I mean, it's a full game, so I'd say it does.
Okay. But yeah, it's cool to see Onimusha coming back because it is a legacy IP that people have a lot of fondness for with it.
I wonder if they saw the success of why am I blanking the name? Sucker Punch game.
Ghost of Tsushima?
Yeah, I wonder if they saw the success of Ghost of Tsushima and realized samurai games are in again. We should probably bring this back.
It's very possible. And I remember I said in the group chat when we were watching it, I'm like, please God, don't make this a Souls-like. Yeah. Otherwise, I think it would kill the franchise if they tried that. It's one of those we'll see because it doesn't come out till next year. Because also I was thinking in the back of my head, like this game could be a game that maybe redefines what action games are in like a post Souls-like world, and it does something completely different that is like kind of finds like a weird middle ground between like say like hack and slash platinum games and then like deep combat frame heavy Souls-likes. Maybe it finds like a middle ground, which would be really interesting, I think. But who knows? I trust Capcom, they'll probably knock this one out of the park.
It's weird how they got rid of Keiji Inafune and suddenly everything got better.
Who would have thought?
Almost like he was the problem or something.
Yeah, maybe. And then the last one, which was kind of like one of the big announcements of the show, is fucking Okami. We're getting Okami 2.
Hideki Kamiya is coming back to Capcom with Clovers, I think is his new studio.
Yeah. Well, Clovers is an independent studio.
Right.
That he formed after leaving Platinum kind of suddenly last year, which I think he left Platinum because Tencent invested heavily in the Platinum games, and I think was pushing them to do like mobile and live service stuff and all that. And I think Kamiya saw the writing on the wall and is like, I'm getting the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
There was a VGC did an interview with Kamiya about like the new studio and Platinum Games and everything, which I encourage everybody to go read because it's pretty good. And I am blocked by Kamiya on Twitter. Yes, I am blocked by him, so I peaked on Twitter. Any case, but yeah, like Clovers is like a bit of a reference to the original development team, but it's like him and another person that he knows, I can't remember their name, where they were just like, oh, let's form a studio, since, you know, Kamiya was leaving Platinum because he was kind of down on what their business strategy was turning into, but still wanted to make games. So, you know, so he got this thing together and then secretly was talking to Capcom. And I guess Capcom's in a really good place right now, obviously, because they're starting to expand out and bring back old IPs and make new ones. And because like Monster Hunter, Street Fighter, and Resident Evil have been doing so well, they're like, oh, we have all this money. Let's like dig in and see what other random shit we can pull out of our ass.
Mega Man Legend fans are still sitting in the corner just staring off into the distance.
I get the sense a Legends collection is on the horizon. I genuinely do. Though I think what Capcom does with Mega Man is a whole other topic, because I think there's a lot to consider with Capcom bringing back Mega Man. Like, he will be back, but it's like, what do they do with it? You know, but I don't want to go too deep into that. But yeah, Kamiya was like, he always loved Okami. I think that was kind of like his baby, like the one Clover game he had the most love for. So to see him actually getting Okami 2 off the ground, and like Capcom is down to do it, and have him direct the fucking game is really cool and really exciting. You know, and I'm glad to see that happening. Hopefully it's a more streamlined experience than the first game.
Yeah, that first game is beautiful, but my God, is it a fucking slog.
I need to sit down and try to get past that slog of an intro so I can actually get to the game, because it's such a gorgeous game and I want to experience it. You know, why this game is so beloved. I just need to, I mean, I'll have this free time over the holiday, so maybe I'll sit down and try to, you know, tough it out. Because people have said, like, once you get past that intro, the game actually is really good. Like, once the game just lets you play, like, it's fucking great. So I just got to stick with it. But it's cool. Yeah, it's cool to see Okami coming back. I'm happy for Kamiya still doing stuff. He even mentioned in the whole Platinum thing, Project GG, which was like the third in their like superhero trilogy, because there was Beautiful Joe, which was the Clover Capcom thing, then Wonderful 101, which you can kind of see art style, how they're related. And then I guess Project GG was going to be the culmination of these three. And he said when he left Platinum, they were working on Project GG, and it was becoming like a big thing. So hopefully we see something from that, you know? It'll be curious to see if Kamiya leaving Platinum kind of hurts Project GG, or, you know, because Platinum's been kind of silent since that Bayonetta Origins game, which says to me they're just working on stuff. They just don't have anything to say yet, and they're doing all this weird business dealings right now. So I hope this doesn't mean Platinum is like screwed. I hope not, because I do like Platinum, but we'll see what they got in store.
Yeah, like the last time I really remember Platinum being in the news was during that whole Helena Taylor debacle.
Oh yeah. Oh, that was
how to kill your career in like 1 second at 101 right there.
Well, and it's also a perfect representation of like perception equaling reality.
Yeah.
Because remember when she first dropped that video and everybody took her side and was like, yeah, fuck Platinum. They're also awful for treating you like shit. And then people started like actually deep diving into it.
Yeah.
And then that's when the heel turn happened. And yeah, and she's probably not been doing much of anything since then.
No. That was like a prime example of like, you always got to wait for both sides to say something before you can really make a judgment.
Yeah, but I remember even when the first video was out and that's all we had, when she took a dig at the new Bayonetta voice. Oh, what's
Jennifer
her name?
Hale.
Jennifer Hale, yeah. Like when she took a dig at her, I was like, that's unnecessary. You don't need to do that. And Jennifer Hale did a good job. So I like Jennifer Hale.
Jennifer Hale's a very talented voice actress.
Yeah. And she was super smart about the whole thing. She made one video about just like Just basically, it was just this like, just let it go through. Just let the water flow, basically. She's just in one ear, out the other, and just kept on going. She's doing just fine. So, and Helena Taylor probably is not.
Yeah, I haven't heard a thing about her since. So.
But yeah, that was the Game Awards. Pretty solid set of announcements. Like some more like kind of niche stuff, not a lot of universal appeal.
That weird
type of
moving
announcements.
That weird moving game intrigues me.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that one. Yeah, that's like a 3D unpacking.
Yeah, I'm just that one. Just like I'm like I might try that just because it looks fucking interesting.
Yeah, I saw Unpacking. I think it was like the developer of Unpacking took a dig at Nintendo on like Twitter, because if you go to the eShop and type in Unpacking, there's like a bunch of copycat games. They're like Unpacking Deluxe Edition or whatever, and they're like, hey, could you like stop doing this, Nintendo? And they're not.
Oh, did you see? There was another thing I thought was hilarious too, where apparently Nintendo's delisting a bunch of the Neptunia games from the store for inappropriate content, and then I'm sitting here thinking like, but there's like 100 hentai games just chilling there.
It's because they reference PlayStation and Xbox. They can't have that.
And 3DO.
Oh, Nintendo doesn't give a shit about 3DO.
There's a 3DO waifu. That is my favorite thing ever now.
That is cool, yeah. And then Balatro got delisted for a little bit. Because it was weird. It was like right after the Game Awards, because I saw it was on sale. And I was trying to build up the $5 credit so I could buy it on sale with that credit, because I was like, I want to see what the big deal is with Balatro. But it got delisted, and I'm like, why the fuck did it get delisted? And then it came back, and it had a new rating on it. So I guess because of like evil cards or whatever.
I think the creator was bitching about that recently.
Yeah, like he had to re-rate it because of that. But he's like, oh, but like FC Club has like actual fucking gambling in it, and it can be like an E for everyone because nobody gives a shit. Which it's a fair point. It's an absolute fair point, because some people thought, or at least I thought with Balatro, like, oh, was it because of like gambling? Because the game like promoting gambling, but it's like not really. Like there are games with actual gambling in it. Nobody fucking cares. So I don't know. That whole thing was a mess. But
yeah, the only other thing from the Game Awards that I really remembered, well, other than like the token Hideo Kojima cameo, because of course,
yeah, he just showed up. But who fucking cares? He didn't like nothing about Death Stranding 2 or OD or anything like that.
He's Keely's BFF. He had to be there.
Yeah. Wouldn't that be amazing if he announced the Metal Gear Master Collection Volume 2?
It won't happen, but that would be epic.
Master Collection 2 will happen, I think.
Well, the collection will happen. Just Kojima will have nothing to do with it.
Yeah, but that would have been amazing if he was like, I'm here to announce the Metal Gear Solid Collection or whatever. I'd have been like, what?
Oh, you know, it'd be even funnier if he leaked it before Konami. Just to be a fucking dick.
That'd be great.
The only other thing, though, that I really remember about the Game Awards was when I think it was they were talking about the Indiana Jones game, and they brought out
drunk ass Harrison Ford,
Todd Howard, and Troy Baker.
Well, you could tell Harrison had a few drinks. Because he was like, I want to congratulate these two guys for their work on The Great Circle.
Well, my favorite was like you had
and when he said these two guys, it was like, yeah, he didn't remember their names.
Yeah, which is hilarious.
He was told their names before. He did not fucking remember.
I just love the fact it was like we literally had like singular raising the bar, because we had Troy Baker being like a fucking tower. Like I always forget how tall.
And then Todd Howard's like this big.
I love the fact that Todd said fucking nothing. He just was standing there.
Yeah, he was just there.
Well, because I think they just don't want him to say anything anymore.
But still, it was just Harrison Ford be like, if I had known this fucker was going to be so good at it, I just would have did it. Yeah, good job. he had a couple drinks before he went out. Yeah. That's how they got him to do it.
Pulled Harrison Ford out of wherever he is.
Yeah, that was great. But Indiana Jones: The Great Circle, it's a great game. I'm working on a review of it for the SuperPod Network. So stay tuned. That blog will be out hopefully before Christmas.
Nice.
But yeah, that was a long tangent, but sorry guys, it was Game Awards. I wanted to get it off my chest.
The only other thing we were going to bring up is Nintendo Music, new games and some confusing ass Nintendo bullshit.
I'll let you take the reign on this one.
So we didn't talk about it last week because we had recorded kind of out of our normal sequence. So we didn't get the new the new music release for the last episode. We've had a few new drops. We had a Wave Race 64, which that was nice. Like Wave Race is a classic. We also got Skyward Sword, which was kind of like a shadow drop. Like I don't even remember them hyping that one up. But then the thing that drove me nuts that I just discovered was they released 3 other soundtracks. They gave us Breath of the Wild and Mario Kart 8 on Wii U, both of which are already on Switch, and they're like identical. And then we got Metroid Prime Remastered, which is already on GameCube, and I'm pretty sure is also, for the most part, identical. Like, what the fuck, Nintendo? Oh.
I don't know. We talked about this before the show, and I kind of freaked out. So
well, the best part was
I
didn't even notice. And then the second you mentioned Mario Kart 8 and Breath of the Wild Wii U were already on Switch, I was like, wait a goddamn minute. And I had to go back and look. And I was like, son of a bitch. Like, Nintendo, stop.
Only Nintendo would have the fucking balls to do this. And they get away with it.
Oh, yeah. Because Nintendo
like if
fans
any other company did this, people would be like, you guys are fucking stupid. But even when people when they call Nintendo out for doing something fucking stupid, Nintendo doesn't give a shit.
No.
So that's why we've kind of given up bitching, because who the fuck cares?
There's a legion of Nintendo fans who like will get slapped in the face repeatedly and just sit there going, yes, Mr. Nintendo, give me more.
Yeah. So, and it was almost kind of an albatross with the Game Awards, like Nintendo's lack of presence again.
Yeah.
Even though it's become standard for them, but it's like, at this point, we're just waiting for Switch 2. And it's not like they're going to unveil that at the Game Awards. Why would they do that? Yeah. You know, when they're going to get like when they announce like, oh, tune into this like Switch 2 unveiling like, I don't know, like June 16th at like 8 a.m. or some shit like that, right? Like, I won't be surprised if that like premiere or live stream has like 500,000 people watching it. Like right then and there. Won't be shocked. So it's like, what the fuck do they need Game Awards for? Everyone's going to flock to them.
Oh, yeah.
So, and that's kind of the albatross in the air right now is, what is Switch 2 going to be? So apparently we'll know before March.
Nice.
So my guess, February. At this point. February seems like the right time to be like, okay, here's what it is. Here's when it's coming out. Here's the price. Blah, 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 blah. Right?
Yeah.
So, and we'll talk about it then.
Yeah.
So we did actually talk about the 3DO this episode. Yeah. So let's just do that.
This game, there's stuff to say. So
I liked this game, actually.
I did too. For a lot of reasons. That being said, this week we are talking about Cannon Fodder. I don't have a 3DO copy, but I do have a Jaguar copy, so that's cool.
I'm sure Alex is very happy right now.
I don't even know she's aware of this game because I don't think I had it when we did the 3D the Jaguar episode for GNC.
Fair enough.
What is fun though is I found on Etsy custom Jaguar end labels.
That's cool.
That's fun.
That is cool. Are they like curved to fit like the weird handle?
Yep.
That's fucking sick. If only Atari actually cared.
I know. Like on Etsy. So when I bought the N64 end labels on Etsy, I noticed the seller also had Jaguar, which I immediately bought, 32X, and Master System, and they look so nice.
All right, that's cool. I have one Master System cart, so I'd be curious to how those end labels look.
So
what's weird is the Master System, like the front sticker, like it overlaps to the top just a teeny bit. You know.
So I don't have it on this joke cartridge I have over here, but basically what they did was they took this pattern and they just replicated it here in the same like matching pattern, and it matches the font of the name here. It's nice. It's cool.
Nice. Is same font and everything.
Same font, and they even have a blue Sega logo in the corner, so it's like kind of a cool little touch.
That's cute. I like that.
Yeah, it's weird how fans can make cooler things than the actual companies sometimes.
Well, it's because the fans give a shit in a way that the devs never will, you know.
But so Cannon Fodder. This is a very interesting game in a lot of ways.
Oh yeah.
Developed by Sensible Software. which is really funny because this game is very unsensible.
I mean, that's the name of like a fucking British ass studio that made shit for like, because this game originally came out on the Amiga, which screams European developer to me.
Oh yeah.
Like they have a series of sports games called like Sensible, like Sensible Golf, Sensible Train Spotting. That's the most European game I could think of in my entire life.
Oh yeah. And they were around from 86 to 99. They ended up getting acquired and absorbed by Codemasters. So that's where they ended up. They were known for obviously the Sensible Sports series. They made a game called Megalomania and a game called Whizball.
Whizball. What, are you whizzing on the ball?
Maybe. And one of their founders was a guy named John Hare, who is a computer game designer, a video game artist, and a musician. And he notably wrote and performed the song in this game, War.
I love that.
War, never been so much fun.
What is it good for?
For those who don't know, this game has like this. Unfortunately, the Jaguar version does not have the music, which is the only downside.
The 3DO version does in all of its glorious CD Red Book audio.
And the song is so like 80s, but it is like the most catchy. Like it's got like synth bass, like this like catchy drum beat, and the lyrics are just so catchy. But they even made a live action music video to go with it. It is the most ridiculous shit you will ever see.
It will be linked in the description of this episode.
Like there's that one point where like they have like there's like a Donald Duck mask and a Mario costume. I'm like, what the hell? They just
they were having fun, man. They were just having some fun.
My favorite is like the image of like the guy who's like they have like the fake gun pointed over one of the guys on the ground, and he's like they're shooting him, and he's like just convulsing with a big smile on his face. And I'm like, what is this? Like,
art. That's what this is. Fucking art, baby.
Yeah, I'll put the link for the music video in the description of the episode because holy shit, it is amazing.
Yeah, and then it has those weird like
CGI cutscenes.
Yeah, and like the characters are like that. It was like a 90s thing where they almost look like Tyco toys or whatever, where it's like they all have like the round head, the round body, and then like the little round arms or whatever,
Yeah,
and it's like it's weird. It has like this like almost like playful kind of kids imagery or like with that, but it's like there's like blood and like blood curdling screams and everything.
Oh, I love the stock scream sound effects.
Yeah. Like no Wilhelm scream. That would be amazing. But like, yeah, these screams are a lot more like guttural and kind of brutal.
Oh yeah, it is hilarious. Like this is such a British game. Like English.
Yeah, because it's like it's trying to be anti-war. But like missing the points in a way. I mean, there's all this like imagery, right? Because like, so you boot up the game, and much like a European Amiga game, you're kind of like confused on what the fuck to do, right?
Yeah.
Because you don't really get a menu. Like it just like pops up, right? And there's like the screen. It's like load, save in the corner, right? And then there's this big image in the front that's like hills and like a line of people going into like a house, and there's like crosses everywhere, and it's meant to be like, oh, you're. I think the word cannon fodder, like calling the game cannon fodder, was meant to sort of invoke like an anti-war message, where it's like, oh, if you're a soldier, you're just treated as cannon fodder. You're not like taken into account like your actual life or whatever, right?
I think the problem is though, like they made this really good message, but then at the same time they make a music video and a song to go along with the game that makes war seem like the funnest shit ever.
Yeah, and then to top it all off, like the game isn't really built around trying to convey a proper anti-war message, because if you're not paying attention to it, it's just like just a war game.
Yeah, if anything,
90s,
it makes war seem like a joke.
Yeah, which isn't really the point of it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you have all these various missions where basically you just get a set of however many like allies the game lets you have, which is usually like 2 to 6, basically. I put a couple hours into it. I didn't get super far, which I'll explain. But basically you get dropped into this like overhead type of thing. And even on 3DO, the game controls almost like a computer game where you have this like this cursor, and then you push A to tell your guys to go there. But then if you hold B, you can then shoot.
Yeah.
But I gotta say, control wise, it's actually like pretty solid.
Yeah, it wasn't bad for 3DO, or even so I played both the Jaguar and then I emulated on the 3DO. Both of them control pretty much the same.
Yeah, well, they were smart with like say the movement. It's not a case of like you just hold A and then drag it around and they'll just follow you. But with the guns or like with shooting, it does. Like if you just hold B and then move the stick around, it'll flail around, which is really good because some enemies will try to like surprise attack you.
Yeah,
and it invokes this kind of action strategy type gameplay.
It's like a weird hybrid of it's like a real-time tactics game mixed with shoot 'em up. Like
yeah. And it's basically just you get this map and then it just says kill all enemy.
Yeah.
And then you just get dropped in with whatever guys you have. You can split them up into different parties. If you like say like, oh, this is like company 1 and company 2, which I guess later on when you get like 6 or more guys, it's maybe not a bad idea if you want to split them up. But I feel with a console game like this, it's not really built for that. So I kind of just gang them up all together. And then, you just either kill all enemy or later you will find like houses and all that and you will blow them up. And I was really confused when I first started playing it because there were certain houses where there was like explosive boxes next to them. And it's like, oh, I shoot those, blow it up, no big deal, right? And then I got to a point where there were multiple houses, but they all didn't have boxes. And I was like, did I miss something? Like, what's the big deal? And then in the corner, you can have like grenades or bazookas, right? And I was like, oh, like, how do I use those? I found a scan of the manual. Thanks, Internet Archive. And it was like, oh, like, do this to use the grenades. I'm like, cool. But grenades weren't coming out. And I was like, do I not have any? Like, what's the deal? And then I found out it's like, oh, those boxes, if you walk over those, that's how you get your grenades. But of course, the game doesn't tell you literally anything.
No, it doesn't.
It's one of those games where it's like reading the manual is a requirement because the game isn't going to tutorialize anything for you.
It's very much a PC game that was ported to consoles.
Yeah, but it controls really well for that. Yeah, why I think it's because it's a more action-heavy game, so they're kind of able to get away with like some potential wonkiness in that sort of vein. But I didn't really think it was that wonky. Like I found myself having a good time with it.
No, like compare. So I was comparing it to like say like the other PC ports we've had on 3DO, like say Theme Park. Theme Park I think was hurt by the porting to consoles.
Yeah, thankfully that's not like an overly stressful game. So, but it's like it doesn't play as smoothly as it would on PC.
Yeah, or even a Starblade, which was like that was a game that unfortunately just the console port hurt it in the long run.
Yeah, absolutely.
In this case, I think it made the transition pretty well.
Yeah, like probably to the point where I imagine people probably think of this more as a console game than a PC game potentially. Like,
because
like when I was looking into 3DO, this was kind of listed as like one of the more kind of signature games for the console, or like a hidden gem almost.
Well, what's interesting about the first Cannon Fodder, because there actually is sequels to Cannon Fodder, as I discovered.
Yeah, there's a Cannon Fodder too.
Sensible actually, unlike nowadays where you'd get like alternate studios to like make all your ports, Sensible did every port of this game. Like they did the Mega Drive port, the Jaguar port, the 3DO, SNES, Amiga, ST, DOS. Like they handled every port. So like the game, it's kind of like if like John Carmack did every port of Doom, which we know for a fact he did not. He only did the Jaguar port.
Yeah.
Which is really it's interesting. Like they really went all out. And I have to say, like, another thing I love about this game is like we talked about the opening song, but like the soundtrack itself is like really catchy.
Yeah, the soundtrack's pretty catchy. I think the in-game graphics aren't too bad. Like when you do say the intro into the mission and it has like the helicopter going into say the forest, the jungle, or like the Arctic or whatever, like that looks really nice.
I love the song that plays like right before you start a mission where like all the little characters are like going down like the trail towards like the mission point.
Yeah.
It's like super funky.
Yeah, the soundtrack was like kind of solid overall, and the game runs really well.
Hmm.
Like it's nice and smooth. I didn't notice any like frame drops or any kind of performance hiccups at all. And yeah, I found the gameplay. It's very simple, but like fun, you know. Um, apparently it's really long. Like
Yeah.
there's like 24 missions, and then each mission has like at least 2 to like 4 or 5 phases, which is kind of crazy. But thankfully the game doesn't necessarily have a live system per se. It has a system of like when you see that line of characters, like when you're in between the missions or whatever, that's basically your live count.
Hmm.
So like say the mission, it's like, oh, you get 3 guys to kill enemy, right? If you lose all 3 guys, you just restart the mission with a new set of 3 guys, because all the guys will they'll level up, or they'll like rank up. Basically they'll go from like a private to a corporal to, you know, staff sergeant or whatever. I don't know if that necessarily improves like their stats, or if that has any sort of bearing on like certain abilities or things in the game later on. I have no idea, because I only made it to like mission 6. I think I got stuck at a point where there was like a bunch of bazooka guys constantly like shooting you, and I didn't have enough time to react to them, basically. Because sometimes the reaction times cannot be the best with how the game's set up, because when you try to blow up certain houses, like the door will fly open, or a piece of the roof will shoot up into the air and land perfectly on your team, and by the time you figure it out, you're dead.
Yeah.
Because again, the movement style makes me think more of a strategy game, and I don't have to be as like twitchy with the reflexes. But this game requires you to be a little twitchy here and there. You can do it. Like it's not impossible, but yeah, there's just some like weird impenetrable things about the game.
Sometimes it's also all just a chance of luck. Like sometimes I lucked into just winning missions because I just happened to go in the right spot.
Yeah, that can happen for sure. And then other times it can be like, there was a couple times where it's like I blew up all of the buildings, and then I was like, oh, I didn't kill all enemy. So I, you know, looked around and then found like just one random guy. And I was like, oh, you did it, you know.
Yeah.
I feel like by mission 24 it would be really repetitive unless they really shake things up near the middle of the game. I have no idea. I mean, the base of it was fun though, you know. Like I thought the loop was fun, of like, oh, you just kind of drop in with however many guys, you just kind of roam around, point and clicking your way through, and then occasionally shooting enemies. And it was always easy to take out the enemies, because you could just hold down the fire button, and then a lot of the enemies would just walk right into it because they're trying to get in the range of you.
This would honestly be a really good game to like port to like handhelds or something, or like Switch or Steam Deck.
There is a Game Boy Color port of Cannon Fodder.
It was actually the last game I believe Sensible made too.
Yeah, I'd be curious to the Game Boy Color version of this,
because I feel like this game would be perfect for like just kind of sitting down, like playing for a few minutes, and then like popping onto something else.
Yeah. Like I imagine this probably plays really well on like Steam Deck.
I can imagine. Yeah. Other than that, I was doing a little research, like digging, like the composer for this game was well, like aside from like the main like songs, which were done by the main programmer, the compositions were done by a composer named Richard Joseph, who he was mostly known for his like career, mostly doing like Commodore 64 and Amiga work. But he did do a whole bunch of stuff, like a lot of surprising games, like James Pond, Lego Loco. That's a game I know from back in the day. NBA Shootout 97, all the Sensible games. Speedball 2, that's an interesting one. Apparently he worked on Elder Scrolls Oblivion.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
And Theme Park Inc. and World, the 2 sequels to Theme Park.
That's not a bad career, I'd say.
No, he passed away in 2007, but he had a fairly good career from the way it looks. Yeah, other than that though, Cannon Fodder was released on pretty much everything, and I'm pretty sure it got fairly good reviews. It's kind of hard to find the reviews on Wikipedia, doesn't give them, so that's nice.
I mean, they do. I'm looking at them right now.
Oh, where are they at?
There's a lot of Amiga reviews. Apparently, there was a lot of Amiga mags back in the day. Amiga Format, Amiga Action, Amiga Computing, Amiga Power, Amiga User International, CU Amiga, The One, and Amiga Force, and also Amiga Down Under, mate.
Yeah.
So, and they all praise the hell out of it.
Oh yeah, I found them. Yeah,
Yeah,
most
ratings
reviews
are
are.
solid.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, it makes sense. I mean, this is a very solid, well-designed game. Like a lot of 90s, couple of 100s, like percents. I find kind of amusing.
Game Fan gave it a 229 out of 300, which is way more math than most gaming fans ever want to do. But doing a quick math, that is a 76.3%. So
That's not bad.
that's probably the lowest score it has.
Yeah.
Which isn't bad, not at all.
It also was like published by like the most like 90s publisher ever. It was published by
Virgin. Yeah, Virgin, of course. Yeah, Virgin has a very fascinating history as a publisher. And even a developer as well, but that's another topic, I think.
Yeah. Other than that, like love the soundtrack, love the graphics. Honestly, this was a
gameplay's fun.
Yeah. Found certain things way more amusing than I probably should have with this game.
Yeah, again, it's like it apparently it has an anti-war message, but I feel like you wouldn't know that unless somebody told you.
Yeah.
Because it just feels like a silly, almost like Army Men style, like the way it kind of approaches war. You know what I mean? Like it feels like this kind of message, if they made it today, they would like hammer it in really fucking hard to the point where it'd be like maybe too much.
Like if you had told me the music video for the war song was the intro for like some British like comedy about war, I would totally believe you.
Yeah.
That
fucking
being
UK.
Yeah. You should watch their PSAs. It's wonderful.
I have.
Yeah.
British culture is so fascinating to me.
Oh yeah. It's like holy fuck. But anyways, so okay, must play, stay away. I think this one's an obvious must play.
Yeah, this is our first must play in a while, I think. And our first universal must play in a while.
Yeah, because like thinking about it, Elmo definitely didn't get that. The porn games were just a shrug because I didn't know what to say.
People really want to see Dracula dick.
I know, right?
As if we have control over that. Yeah, like I'm like looking when I was looking up like 3DO research earlier on. A lot of people were pointing to this as being one of the better games on the system. And when I would look at gameplay footage of it, I was a little like cautious because I'm like, oh, it's trying to be like a strategy game. Like I have a bit of a weird history with strategy games. So it's like, but I'll give it a shot, see what the big deal is. And yeah, I ended up enjoying it. Like this is a game I could see myself playing more of in the future.
Yeah.
Like I'm not sure what it goes for on eBay, but let me check.
So for my Jaguar copy, I paid a whopping you probably can't see it $28.
Let's see. Cannon Fodder on 3DO. It's a pricey one, of course.
Yep, that makes sense.
Yep.
Thankfully, it's been ported to everything, so it's not the
hardest.
Yeah,
it averages about like $75.
That sounds about right.
There's a long box. The long box looks fucking cool. Is $100, but it doesn't even have the manual. But yeah, I got to send you a picture of the long box.
Yeah, it's in the thumbnail. I love it.
Yeah, that is quite the picture. Like this is meant to be a pair. This is meant to have an anti-war message.
I love that this game.
It's like it has an anti-war message in the way like Full Metal Jacket does, but like Full Metal Jacket, it's able to get away with it because the medium that it's using, it's way easier to use these more kind of almost subtle things that people would overlook, and I've seen people thoroughly miss the point on Full Metal Jacket over the years. But like it does. But it's very clever because Kubrick is a clever director. Whereas Cannon Fodder, the people making it, were not clever enough to pull off that like dichotomy of it being a fun war game, but also having like an anti-war message. That's like probably my biggest criticism of it.
I also love the fact that this game is like kind of violent and kind of like kind of dark. But then
like you can just like blow up natives and like burn down villages and shit.
Then we got that wonderful, probably can't see it with the glare, but that wonderful KA rating for people.
Yeah, like this has blood in it.
Yeah. The ESRB was hilarious back in the day. The KA rating, I understand why they changed it to everyone, because holy fuck, KA is such a confusing rating sometimes.
Yeah.
I mean, Persona 1 got a KA rating. Like
that game is not KA.
No,
I've never even played it, and I can tell you it's not a K through A.
There's dick monsters in that game. It is not a game.
Dick monsters are for everyone.
Yeah. No, they're for kids to adult. Whatever that means. Yeah, so next week get a TBA on if we do something next week. We're gonna discuss it after.
Yeah, because it's Christmas. Like literally, we record these on Tuesdays, and next Tuesday is Christmas Eve, and I will be busy. I will not be able to podcast on that Tuesday. So
we're gonna talk after this about if we do anything, but
we'll see. We'll see.
Other than that, guys, once again, thank you for joining us on the. I almost said gaming collecting. This is 3DO. The 3DO experience.
I'm slowly turning into Alex. Oh, God help me.
I know. The 3DO experience. Here we go. Oh. I'm fucking it up. Yeah, here we go.
Stand by.
This is there. There we go. No one cares about your facts, Alex. That being said,
I could dump random facts on you that you wouldn't care about.
Yeah. That being said, though, you can find us on all the major podcasting platforms, particularly Apple Podcast and Spotify. And be sure to check us out over on the Superpod Network. That is superpodnetwork.com, where you can also find all of the awesome shows. I'm going to do it without the thing this time because I said I would on Anti-Game of the Year, which you should check out, by the way.
I put it here for a reason. Yeah, nice. On Super Ghost Radio, we did the Anti-Game of the Year Day 2. I guess he had so many guests, he split it up amongst 3 days. So you should go watch go listen to all three. Me, Bill, Aaron, Chris, and Nave were on Day 2, and it was a chaotic shit show that probably went almost 3 hours. So make sure you listen to it.
Aaron before was like, let's hope this one doesn't go for 4 hours again like last year. I'm like, Aaron, it's the Superpod crew. Anything's going to happen here.
It's because he was sick. That's why he didn't want it to. Poor guy.
And then Nave just stretched out so many segments. Like the laughing segment is still the best part.
He got actually mad a couple times.
He did. Well, that same argument happened last year, and that's why it was great.
Yeah. And Chris was getting pissed that he was defending my choices. Yeah. It's like, then don't defend him, dude.
Well, my favorite was like a little sneak peek. We get towards the end for like the final category, and Jerry
and it breaks the entire gang.
Well, my favorite is like,
and it's amazing because it was my category, and I didn't intend for it to go that way.
Yeah,
but that's better than what I thought it would have went. So
the best part is,
I describe it as I just kind of threw a grenade and just kind of watched it happen, and that's basically what happens.
The best part was like he gives everyone a chance to at least explain, but he's like, Bill, do you want to just like say yours doesn't count and just like move on? And I was like, huh? And then he just went on. I was like, my choice just got straight up yeeted. And I was like, okay.
Yeah, the whole thing was fucking crazy. So make sure y'all listen to it. It's a fun time.
And everyone won a category, and Nave got pissed about it. It was great.
He doesn't like socialism.
That being said, though, be sure to check out all the other great shows over on the network, like Superpod Saga, Super Ghost Radio, Retro Rehab, Tommy's Video Game Ride Along, A Novel Console, Bar Silence, Fine Time, the Elder Trolls Gaming Podcast, Remember 64, Gaming Together, Friday Night Gamecast, Gaming and Collecting, the 3DO Experience, Geek Addicts, the Retro Wildlands, Press Me to Cancel, and the Pre-Order Bonus Podcast. Ha! I did it without the thing. Ha! So,
did you throw Tommy's in there?
Yeah.
Okay. I was like half paying attention, to be fair.
It's all right. But anyways, guys, once again, thank you for joining us, and we will see you all later.
Bye-bye.
If you're not not playing on a 3DO system. What are you playing with?